Welcome to Moments with Anastasiia. Thank you, Zane, for coming today. I'm very excited. I'm very thrilled to have you today. You are very dear and very welcome to me, and I'm very honored to have you today with all your achievements and all your resilience and strengths you have in your personality. And I'm really very much interested to know more about you, to have deep dive into your career, into your personality. I've studied a little bit about you, and you are a very interesting person. And I didn't know that you have a Wikipedia page and the website and all the pages. So I just a little bit studied that you were one of the youngest children to be nominated for the Open, which is a very big thing for the golfers and a huge achievement, as well as you won 10 MENA titles. And behind all of those achievements which you had, I want to know your personality. So I wanted to deep dive about who you are behind the titles, who you are sitting in front of me today, and how did you achieve all of that. So thank you for coming, Zane. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Very honoured to be on your podcast. I've been following your journey so far, so I'm happy to be here today and share some of my story. Most of it was just luck, but we'll get into it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm excited. So tell us a little bit about your story. Like, how did you start it? How was your challenges in life? What have you achieved? About your career a little bit. So for the viewers who listen to us today, so they know who you are.
Yeah, so, I mean, most of it is from golf. So I started golf when I was about 11, 12 years old. Before that, I was into sports. My family are into sports. I was into football. I thought, yeah, this is great. I'm going to play for Manchester United and so forth. And then I'd play football on. I would train in the week, and then I'd play for a team on a Saturday, a team on a Sunday, and then we went on a family holiday. Mm-hmm. And my dad met this guy, and he introduced him to golf. So my dad got into golf and so forth. And we came home. And then my dad would always take me to golf on a Saturday and Sunday. You know, that was what we spoke about. We would go to the games and we'd train and so forth. And he would come and watch every minute. And then what happened was he would stop coming on Saturdays, because then he would start playing golf. So then my sister would take me, or my mum would take me, and I would be okay, but I really want to go and hang out with him. So I quit my Saturday team and went to just hang with my dad and play golf with him. And I actually started caddying for him. So I caddy for him on a Saturday, then I still play football on a Sunday. And then I got into hitting a few shots on a Saturday. And then that kind of rolled into, okay, right, I love this game. This is something I want to do. And now I don't want to play football. But I committed to the teams and so forth, but that was it. I was done with football within probably a month of starting golf. I guess it was born out of wanting to hang around with my dad, really, hang out with him. So that was great. So then he started golf at the same time as I did. Mm-hmm. And we became obsessed about this game together. We would watch it on television, talk about it in the car. We would be putting at home on the carpet. We would be going to the driving range in the evening to go and practice in the week, and then we'd play all weekend. So the house was completely golf obsessed. And then we were also in a really good time that we had some fantastic golfers at that time, like Tiger Woods and so forth, mm-hmm. who was super inspiring. So one thing a lot of people don't know about me is that I'm half black, half white. So, when Tiger Woods came to the fore, I was like, this is somebody who, in a predominantly white sport, was similar to me. There was this guy who was top of the sport, and he had an Asian mother, and he had a black father. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden it was like, okay, well, golfing to that point, for me, had always been, it is a white sport, but I would be with my dad. My dad's black, and we would go into golf clubs, and it was a different time then. He would walk into the club, and I would walk behind him, and you can see people would look and so forth, and what's he doing here? What are they doing here? But he's a super positive guy, and he just, he dealt with that all his life, so he just pressed on. Anyway, so then this guy Tiger Woods come along, mixed race like myself, and I could really resonate with him. Mm-hmm. And that was a real inspiration at the time to really press on. And also at that time, in the UK, you couldn't become a member of a club until you were 14 years old. and I was like 11 or 12, but I was good. I was good 11 or 12. And we would try and join a club, and they said, no, you're not old enough. Go to another club, no, you're not old enough to join. And it became like a real difficulty. And we finally found a club where the guy who was doing the interview process just said, I'll let you in, but if anyone asks you, just tell them you're 14. I was only like 12 at the time. So I was like, yeah, fine. And I went. And I started golf when I was, let's say 11. And then through the obsession of practicing, eating, living, breathing, like I went to school, but all I could think about at school was getting home and going and practice in the garden or wherever it was. And within 5 years of playing golf, I'd qualified for the Open Championship. The Open Championship is one of golf's 4 majors. And at the time, being a 16-year-old kid, I just thought, this is what you're supposed to do. I'd watch golf on television. I'd watched, Tiger Woods. There was other great players like Greg Norman, an Australian guy who was world number 1. Darren Clarke, who was an amazing Irish player. I'd watch all these guys on television. And then I went to qualifying for the Open Championship. So there's 2 rounds of qualifying. As a kid, really. Had my friend's 14 years old, I'm 16 years old, and we're going to the qualifier with all these like grown-ups, these men. And I was just there, probably out of naivety, really, like thinking, if I have 3 good rounds, I'll get in. And that naivety took me through. I had 3 good rounds, qualified, and then all of a sudden, there was media and there was journalists and TV cameras all arrived, because I just qualified for the Open Championship. But in my head, I was thinking, I was completely confused, because I was in my head. I'm thinking, this is what you're supposed to do. There was no reason to have any doubts at all. There was no scar tissue. Nothing had ever gone wrong. I was just a kid. Anyway, so I got in, and it did change my life, because, I'm a relatively shy person. Even though now I work in media and work in an environment where I'm dealing with a lot of people. I was a shy kid growing up, and that gave me a lot of confidence, because all of a sudden I had people coming up to me saying well done, and I'd achieved what I wanted to achieve getting into the tournament, and it was a big shift and change in my life, probably from a confidence point of view more than anything else. Because before that, you're a kid, you're just going about your business, having a bit of fun. And it's only when I look back now and I think, right, so I started golf at 11 years old, and within 5 years I was playing in a major championship, which is, when I look back now, I think, that's unheard of. To be a complete beginner, to be playing alongside Tiger Woods at the pinnacle of the sport. But if I replay it, I think the time I put in, I would get up in the morning and it'll be, so let's say I would wake up before dark. And I would go up, I would wake my dad up, right, we need to go to the golf course. So we would go and play 9 holes before school. Or if he wouldn't take me, I would go into the garden and I'd be chipping in the garden until I had to have breakfast and go to school. And then I'd come home from school, first thing I'd do, back out in the garden, get my golf clubs, practicing, whatever it was. And then every minute of the weekend was golf, golf, golf. So if I think back now, the amount of hours that I put in, just because I was completely obsessed with the sport, I think actually that 5 years was more like 15 years. And it just kind of it kind of showed me that, it didn't show me anything at the time, because that's what I did. But when I look back, I think, wow, people talk about obsession being a negative thing, if you're obsessed with something. If it's something ethical, then I think to be obsessed about something is amazing, because it just takes all your being. And you're around, and the thing about that is that some people say, oh, you're obsessed. Why? And they can't understand necessarily why. Like, my friends could understand why at the time golf was an old man sport. Why are you 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 playing this old man sport? But I was just so obsessed that I didn't care. Like, it didn't bother me. It didn't make me question myself. I didn't question whether they were my friends or not, or wasn't annoyed at them. I just couldn't understand why they didn't see what I saw, and just got on with it. And that's something that's really re-resonated now, that if it's ethical, if you're obsessed with something, then just go with it. Because I think you can get talked out of doing so much stuff. You can be really into something, and sometimes people around you are like, why are you doing that? Or have you thought about this? Or is it, are you are you a bit crazy, or what's wrong with you? When actually, like, you know what, if you feel that obsession, just go with it, because people will never understand it. And then at the end, when you do well, when I got into the, like for instance, when I got into the Open, all of a sudden everyone's like, this is great. You know, I go back to my school, and the teachers who were previously annoyed because I wouldn't do homework because I was at golf, all of a sudden they think it's great. And I've recently visited my old school a year ago, because my son is now going to secondary school, and we're going to the sports hall, my picture's on the wall. But when I was there, they were a bit annoyed because I wasn't doing my homework and wasn't getting on with stuff. Yet now, you know, they would use me as an example of, if you go to this school, then this might happen, sort of thing. So, yeah, so obsession can be quite a good thing.
Very interesting. I mean, I played a little bit golf in my life, so I know how difficult it is, because you need to learn all the different tactics. You need to have a strategy in place. You need to practice all the time. I was like always saying to myself, why am I supposed to go to the golf course and practice different types of swings? Like, why it just cannot be just you learn and you do it? No, because you improve the technique, you improve the way you move, and I mean, bravo, you did it in 5 years.
Yeah, there's so many elements. I mean, I learned it through watching golf. I never really had much coaching. It was more through just watching it on television and then pretending to be that player who had won, that I'd watched on the telly that week, and I would try and replicate that. And then that kind of grew into, so I was always looking at better players. Like, and then I would then join the club, and then I played for my local county, and one thing that always came through was always put yourself around people that are better at something you want to do. Find people that are better at it than what you are, and that seems to be like, you can have coaching, and I'm a coach now, and that is, you know, and obviously, you know, from a point of view of, you know, giving people lessons and my own business, of course you should have coaching, but the very best thing that I had and I can see is just be around people that are better than you at what you want to be good at, and you just learn ways, and it's not always comfortable, because sometimes you come back and you know, I'd play golf for somebody and I'd be a bit down about it, thinking, oh, this person hit it further than me, or they might hit their irons better, or they'll putt better. But in that moment, you just think, right, next time I'm going to work out a way to how to compete with that person. And I think that's why I was quite lucky in that manner. And as you say, golf is such a technical sport, so you got the technique, you got the swing, you got to get your equipment right, you need to have the mentality, you need to have the people around you. You know, there's so many elements to, you know, what essentially comes down to just hitting that ball where you want it to go. Is so much goes into it.
Calculation. I mean, it's not easy to calculate, especially when you do the putting part. That was the toughest for me, because you need to calculate what would be your swing and how far it will go to reach the hole. So that's I don't know how much physics and math you need to do to calculate that in your mind, but it's really like crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think like most sports, like you have to, you make a lot of calculations subconsciously, not consciously, and then I think that's what I learned as you go on through. So, you know, I got myself into a major championship as a kid, and then I remained amateur for a few more years. So I played for Great Britain for about 3 years, and then I decided, okay, I'm going to turn pro at about 20 years old, and that was like the first time when things got difficult for me, because I then had a car accident just before I turned pro, and therefore my neck became an issue, and I had to stop playing. I couldn't train and practice as much, and that was the first time I had any difficulty, because before that everything had gone perfect. You know, health was good, you know, no injuries. I could just go and play and practice all the time, be in a good environment. Then all of a sudden, like, well, one aspect was taken away, which is like health, and I had an injury. And then it did get kind of difficult for a while, you know, along with also turning professional. Like when you go from amateur to professional, when you're an amateur, you know, people are, there's a lot more support, and, you know, because you're not really a threat to anybody. But then when you turn professional, you're on your own all of a sudden. And when you're an amateur, you'd play for your club, and then your county, and then your country, and they would give you a team of people who would help you, like train, practice, travel, manage. that sort of stuff. And then also when you turn professional, you go out on your own. And as like a 20, 21-year-old, you don't know, you just think it's you. You think, I've just got talent and this all happens because of me. But then actually, the reality is that there's all these different moving parts that you have to be good at. And then to remove one of those things, injury, all of a sudden, golf and life gets really hard because you have to pay for yourself and so forth. So then that becomes, all gets quite real quite quickly.
Very interesting. You have a very deep story, to be very honest, because how you managed to work on yourself within the 5 years while being a child, going to a school and achieving all the titles, and like surviving that kind of situation in your life which kind of kept you down. I want to know behind the titles, like, what's your personality like? Who you are behind the titles?
Well, I mean, now it's kind of evolved now because, as I said, I was pretty shy growing up, a bit of a loner, to be honest. So even now, like, it's more natural for me to be on my own. Golf is a lonely sport, but, life kind of moves on. You realise you have to, evolve and change. When you're good at something, people are just nice to you, and people laugh at your jokes and when they're not funny. And then all of a sudden, when things aren't going so well, it's a bit back on you. And unfortunately, like, my golf career didn't go. It was pretty good, but it didn't go quite where I wanted it to go because of injury. That I had a neck injury, then I had a wrist injury, and then I had a back injury. So I ended up retiring essentially in 2017 from full-time playing. And then all of a sudden, you think, okay, I need to do something else now because I've done this sport all my life. That's what paid me, and then now I can't do that sport. So what do you do next? Which can become quite a tough time, but I know I've got some good friends and some other people in sport that have been around and seen what they did. And I guess, one thing about golf is it puts you in good circles. I think there's a lot of good people. It's a good network of people. And I saw around me is like people in media. And then I thought to myself, I wanted to have a coaching business, even though I wanted to be probably closer to 50 when I got my coaching business and not, 35, but never mind. So these are that had been one thing I always wanted to kind of do, like beyond golf. My dad was a businessman, and I thought I would like to have businesses as well. So I kind of replicated that, and now, I mean, the first thing was going into the media. So I started doing commentary, working for Sky Sports and BBC, which was hugely out of my comfort zone. All of a sudden, being able to go out and just perform at something you've done every day and you're trained to do, is almost easy. So that as the pressure goes up and the more people, you're like, oh, this is my time. I've been training for this for 20 years. Then all of a sudden, I then got the opportunity to do some TV work and go and commentate on some golf. And there was no training. It was just like sitting there like we are here. Camera goes on. You get your earpiece with someone, like 5 different people talking in your ear in the gallery, and it was like, right, on you go. And it was live TV. So my first kind of experience into media was doing live TV without any training, and it was horrible, really. Like, your heart's pounding out your chest. But I was kind of around good people, what they did, and each time you just pick up small things that they do, and every time you feel sick when you're doing it, and then afterwards I would be like, that was quite a good buzz. I could have done that better. Could have done this better. And over time, you just you get, even sometimes you don't even realise you're getting better, but by being in that environment, when you watch it back or someone talks to you, you go, oh yeah, I'm actually I know what to do in that situation. But you just feel so exposed for the first it took me probably 3 years to actually go on set in a live TV situation and actually feel quite calm. But the first 3 years, it was horrible, really. But what are you going to do? You just got to get on with it.
I mean, you did what you could, and that was the best thing you could do that time. I mean, really. But I want to know, what kept you grounded, kept you strong every morning when you were in that situation, when you didn't know what to do. You just really immersed me now. I was imagining how you were there, and What was the difficult and how did you move forward?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think you just, it's difficult to answer. You just get on with it. Each little piece, step by step, you just go in and you go, right, last time. Well, I had a coach from 16 years old to 26, and he was a golf coach, but he was arguably better at the mental side of it than anything else. And I think that's one thing that stood me in good stead between, I had a talent for golf, but I think between, my dad's a mentally strong person, my mum's obviously been great with me as well, and I had a coach who was really great at all the technical side of having the right mentality. And one thing that he probably taught me when I was probably about 15, 16 was to have, it's 3 questions, and I would use them today. For then it was always for golf, and I would give it to any of my young up and coming players, but it's something I would still do now. And the 3 questions are, what did you do well today? What did you learn? And what could you do better next time? And in that, you're ticking boxes. You're going, right, actually, even on a really bad day, or a bad day on the golf course, or a bad day personally, or a tough day, working, you think, just find one thing you did well. It might be I didn't swear when I hit a bad shot, or I kept my head on, or so I didn't lose my temper, or you know what, I prepared well. So that would be like, right, that's one. Then what did you learn? So the learn part is what went. You think, okay, what did I mess up on? So like it might be, you know what, in golf it might be I hadn't practiced beforehand, or when I did the TV work it might be that I stuttered my words, or wasn't ready to go and ask the question. And then the last piece is, what would I do differently next time? And so it deals with it, because you go, okay, well, next time I'm going to prepare more before the show comes on. So when they ask me, or I'm going to ask the person interviewing me what they're going to ask me, so I can be prepared, and that will help. And so you kind of deal with each day, because like it or not, as much as we want every day to be amazing and go perfectly, it doesn't go like that. And actually, you get better. It's a bit cliche, but you get better when things go wrong, and you have a bit of difficulty, and then you learn from it and get better that way. That's kind of how it is. If every day goes good and everything's easy, then it's likely that you're not really getting better, which no one wants to hear. Like I used to hate it when my coach would have a go at me, or said, or give me a hard time, say, you're not practicing correctly, or you're not as focused as you could be. I wouldn't want to hear it, but I would always respond to it and be like, right, like, F you, I'm going to show you. And that would like push me on. So I don't like hearing bad feedback, but it's always the best thing that can happen to me.
No, honestly, I mean, when you hear the bad feedback, that's what shapes you, the way you are. And when you have the honest feedback, which might be challenging or might be different from what you think you are, that will gonna change you, of course. It will help you to
still don't want to hear it. Yeah, still don't want to hear it.
It still helps you to move forward, because it's psychology. I mean, I love what you said, that you didn't give up, and I love your story. Tell us a little bit about your coaching. How your coaching go? What do you do?
Yeah, so I have an academy in London, which I've been going for about 8 years or so, and then here in Dubai, I'm director of golf at a place called 5 Iron. 5 Iron is like a new age golf place, which is like an indoor golf club. There's fantastic simulation. There's a bunch of other stuff as well, but my part is the golf part, and which that covers. There's like so you hit shots into the screen, so you can play on golf courses. You can train your swing, and then you can analyze your swing with all the different lines and playback and different angles, and then each shot will give you all the fancy data that when I grew up we didn't have, whereas now you can have it. It tells you how fast you're swinging, the launch of the ball, how much spin it has on it, how far off line, all these numbers. Whereas when I played, you had your caddy and you just like you hit it, I went a bit right. Whereas now there's like a number for everything. So that's like the coaching from that point has evolved a lot, and I would say my coaching it's a bit of a reflection of what I endured, like the good and the bad. So the the good part was that it was always linked to performance. So because people like to get technical, especially these days, because of numbers, and because of Instagram, there's a million tips. So people these days, even when they've been playing golf for a year, they're telling me my swing should be doing this and it should be doing that and so forth, and I'll be like, yeah, okay, fine. So there's a kind of that part, and then so the good part would be that I use from trying to link it to performance. Like, what's the ball doing? How, when you go and play golf tomorrow, how are you going to feel? Are you going to feel confident or not? Can you do what you want to do? And also know what you can't do, so then you don't have to do that. So you can have, when you train and practice, that's the time when you're allowed to fail. And then when you go to perform, you don't get the luxury of being able to fail. So in that, you're working out what you're good at, what works, also working out what doesn't work. So when you go to play, you don't try and do what doesn't work. You've already tested it. And then, I guess, and then the other part would be, coaching's evolved a lot now. So it used to be you have one coach who did everything. And now, you know what, it's a bit more holistic. It's different parts of the game. You have you have specialists in different areas. I guess my specialism is that I could play the game and have an understanding of the technique and how to build a golf swing. Whereas a lot of coaches, they've never played the game. So they've played the game, but they've not played on tour. They've not played in major championships. They've not performed. And then you've also got people who have performed, and they're professionals and they're great, and they think they can coach, but they don't. They just tell you what they did, which what people think they do and what they actually do, most of the time is two different things. Because you would get, someone would hit a certain shot, and they go, I'm doing this and this, and you would look at it slow motion on the camera, and you think they're not doing what they feel like they're doing, but it works. So, but then they start telling people, and as a coach, you have a responsibility to all the people that you're giving information to. Like, I would post on social media, on Instagram, for instance, and I've got a responsibility to give good information, because I know that there's going to be hundreds, thousands of people watching this tip or whatever. Whereas there's a lot of golf coaches or people who pretend to be coaches. They go online because they've got the camera, and because they've got a social media, they become like an expert. Anything wrong
in the tip, you can get injured.
Exactly, you can get injured. You can ruin someone's experience. Like, you might push someone might stop playing golf because you give them bad information just because they're trying to get, a like on an Instagram post. It makes no sense.
It doesn't mean anything. No. And people has to be really professional, because golf is not an easy game. No. And I feel that it's not even a game. It's something more complicated than that. I like what you said about the performance. You mentioned that we focus a lot about performance. So when you were back then, when you were 11, how did you strategize all of this? Like, how did you calculate it? How was your process on achieving towards your goal? Like, how did you make it?
Just time. Just time being obsessed and just thinking about what you want out of something. There was, we were chatting about earlier, actually, because you got the event with the vision board event coming up. And when I was 20, I've been 25. And I was coming back from injury, and I had great sponsors when I turned pro. I was managed by IMG. Life was easy, and then I got injured, and it all quietened down. So I was in a low period in my playing career, and I was sat with my coach, and everything was tough. Like very low on money. I had some playing status. Wasn't playing all the big events. I was playing some smaller events. And something that had been so easy, all of a sudden, it would seem like maybe this isn't going to work out, or maybe this is going to be tough. And I sat with him one winter, and he just said to me, he said, just tell me all the things that you'd want. I'm 25, and I'm miles, I'm still living at home at this point, maybe 24, I'm still living at home. So I'm like, well, I've got a car, I would like a certain car. And you're like, is that the car you really want? And I was like, well, I want this car, but I'm miles away from that. He was like, it's fine, just tell me what it is, fine. So he took it, he wrote it down. And then he said, right, where do you want to be on tour? So I was like, well, I want to be on tour, but again, I'm on this tour down here, I want to be on that tour, but, that's going to take years. He's like, just tell me, right? So I told him, so he wrote it down. And then he said, how much money do you want in your bank account? What would be a good amount of money to have in your bank account? So I was like, I don't know, like, I've barely got any money right now, like, whatever it was, I won't share the amount. And it was an amount which was like way more than I could imagine at that time. He was like, just tell me. So I told him, right? And this was like for 1 year. So this will happen in a year. So I was like, it won't. But yeah, anyway, this amount, boom. Yeah, it did that. And then anything else? I said, I want to watch. It's like, okay, yeah. What watch do you want? I want this Rolex, whatever it was. Yeah, fine. So he wrote that down. I think that was it. And then the last one was I wanted an apartment. I wanted my own home. So he was like, right, boom. So the next time I saw him, he gave me this book, and he had a picture of the car, a picture of the watch, a check for an amount of money, my name on a leaderboard on that tour, and a picture of an apartment where it was. I was like, yeah, thanks a lot, great. And I would just carry it with me each week. So I put it in my bag. I wouldn't look at it a lot, but it was always there somewhere. I'd look at it now and again. Didn't really take it that seriously. And then this was in 2007, and out of nowhere, I'd just got on a really good run. I'd pretty much not hit rock bottom, but I was in a difficult spot, and I'd had to borrow like £500 off my mum to go to a tournament, to go to the French Open qualifying. The French Open is a big event, so she's like, yeah, fine. So I went and I played great in the qualifying and got in. And the French Open is like a big money event. So then I went to that tournament and I got in. And when you go to the tournament, you check in at the check-in desk, and there's a notice board next to it. And it says, and it has, each week it has the breakdown of how much you can earn, like if you finish. And the thing in golf is there'll be 150 golfers, and there's a cut after 2 rounds. So each tournament has 4 rounds. After 2 rounds, everybody outside the top 65 gets cut. You're kicked out of the tournament, and you get no money, and it just costs you money to be there. But if you're in the top 65, you get to play the last 2 rounds, and you get paid. So I remember looking down the list, and I think I just thought, right, if I just make the cut, you make like €6,000. So I'm like, I could do with €6,000 right now. That'd be great, yeah. So I go in, and I play really well, and I made the cut easy. So I'm like top 10, end up having a pretty good weekend. I actually played with the guy, ended up winning it. So we come to the last, he putted out, shake hands with the winner, which was miles away from where I'd been, but I had a good weekend. I finished top 10, and I picked up like 70k. So I've gone from like borrowing money to picking up 70k. So now like, oh, life's easy again now, or easier. And then because I played well, that got me into the next event. So I get into the next event, another big event I was miles away from. Same thing, like I was up near the lead, made the cut. Well, let me rewind. I went to check in, look at the list. Oh, if you make the cut here, you make like another 7k, that would do. That would be fine. Anyway, so I'd have another good week, another 70k. Like, so I've gone from borrowing money just to get to the next week to being like, this is cool. I can relax now and enjoy golf again. And that carried on for about, I kind of run for about 4 months or so, where everything, how like life's difficult at times, and you think everything you do, it just doesn't work. Everything you do, you get close, and you just have a thing in your head when it doesn't matter what you do, you just know in the back of your head it's going to go wrong at some point, or whether it be a deal or whatever it is, it's going to go wrong. But every now and again, you get on a little run, and everything you do just goes right. And that's what I had. And it kind of just manifested, kept on going. Every time I got near to missing the cut, I would do something amazing to make the cut, or things just went my way for about 5 or 6 months. Probably off the back of some hard work, but yeah. And and life just completely turned around. Anyway, so at the end of that year, so less than a year, my coach said to me, have you got that book? I was like, yeah. So let's go through it. And I looked at it and I was like, right, so I've got yeah, I've just bought that car because I had a few good weeks. I bought the car I wanted. That's great. Turn the page, and the watch was there, and I was thinking, yeah. And I'd played in a small tournament and won the watch. So I was like, oh, got the watch. That's weird. Yeah, cool. And then I had some sponsorship deals come in because off the back of that good performance. I had some sponsorship deals which added to my the prize money that I won. And we went through, and it was so uncanny how close it was. And then I bought an apartment, and then the leaderboard or the position that he had written my name in the picture, I think it was like, let's say it was of 150 players for the year-long order of merit, the position where he had taken someone's name out and put mine in was in one place. It was uncanny how close all these things had come to fruition in like a year. It was amazing. So good luck with that event. That would go well. But you know what? Then a few years passed, and I tried to do it again, but it was different because I wanted different things. Like I think at 25, I wanted things. I wanted things to own, and that's what you want to do. But even when I think now, you just want at different times of your life. I'm like 43 now. Like you want a nice car, but it's not. It's not that important. Like would I have a nice watch? I'd have a nice watch, but it's not that important. You just want different stuff now. So I'm working out what the next step is. Yeah.
For your vision board.
Yeah.
I believe in manifestation, and I feel that everything which you subconsciously visualize and put it just there, and it's just there. It keeps happening in your brain. It works its own way, but it does really give you in return what you want. Because I also did vision board 1 year ago, and I've gone through it before because I'm doing an event now. Some of the things has been already done. Like I can modify it, I can replace it. I see something new now in my life because I evolved. And I believe that this is very important to really understand how the manifestation works, and specifically for you, you know. I mean, it's very interesting.
It's good, yeah.
I like your insights. You're very deep inside.
Just got to work out what I want now. That's the difficult part.
Yeah, I wanted to know, what do you think, based on your story, what people can take away from your story?
I guess there's things we probably discuss really. Like if you're obsessed with something, and it's ethical, just go with it. That's one part. I think a lot of the time people will question you, but no one's gonna. My granddad used to say, my granddad's famous saying. My dad would always repeat it to me, and I still use it to this day. It would be, nobody does you as well as you do. And that's one thing I was thinking, you know what, people come up with some nonsense, but you get clear in your head what you want to do and just go about it. And I think one thing that I've learned from golf and things have happened in my life since is, you know what, actually being a bit selfish is the best thing you can do for everyone else. I think the hardest time in my life has been when I've tried to please other people or tried to change to fit what someone else wants me to do, and so forth. But when I actually think back, the evidence is there to show when I was doing my thing, when I was being selfish, when I was doing my thing, when I was performing or so forth, everyone else benefited. And if maybe not exactly the way they wanted to, but there was a huge benefit in that. And I think that can be used in a bunch of different things, especially like these days. You always, via social media, you're a bit pressured to be a certain way or act a certain way, when actually, if you're authentic enough to be able to go about and do your business, people will you can kind of show by example. You can show by example being authentic about actually doing something rather than just talking about doing it. Get on and do it, and and so many things happen that you don't even realise what's going to happen. I think that's what's happened. If even now. Golf has been a superb vehicle for meeting people. So, the relationships that you build with people and the rooms that it puts you in, and you meet some fantastic people. It's been fantastic for that. And it always comes back to the golf, but that's the vehicle for so many other opportunities that come up. So I've been able to play for a living, which has been fantastic, and then I've been able to have different businesses, want like mainly in coaching, be able to go into media and so forth, all off of like golf. But people that I've met in golf, which have, you know, I have a business partner in London who now looks after that academy. I met him through golf, you know, played with him, then coached him, and then now he kind of looks after that business. And then like coming here to Dubai, again, being in golf, getting invited to an event, meet somebody. I've been meaning to talk to you, Zane. Would you be interested in coming over here? You know, it was the first couple of times I was like, no, I'm not interested. But, you know, after that persistence, actually this guy, he's spoken to me about 2 or 3 times. He's serious about this. These are all things that just, I didn't imagine that coming up, but it's where it brings you. I think like with so many things, most of the time it's a bit like starting a business. Like you think this is what it's going to look like, but you get 6 months down the line or years down the line, and it looks completely different to what you think it's going to look like. Which is, it's a bit like what's happened at 5 Iron. We thought, it will look like this, and now we're like nearly 2 years in. We're like, this looks so different to what we thought it would look like, but we're making it work. So yeah,
you have to go the way it is, and you have to work towards it. Like you have an idea, you have a business idea, for example, or any activity, and then you work for it. You just do anything moving forward to that. And yeah, I'm totally agree with you that you meet new people. New people give you opportunity, give you a chance to expand, maybe teach you something, maybe give you a feedback. And that also depends on like your surroundings, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But when your horizon is open, new people come into your life, those people can really play a big role.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many people that they're just so good at what they do. And you get to experience all these different things. And like, I mean, being in sports, you know, always spoken about being inherently selfish. You think the whole world revolves around you and everything's on you. But then like now, like when I go back into golf now, I used to play. So I used to think that I'm the golfer here, so everything has to fit what I'm doing. But when you look around, like now, going back into helping coach up-and-coming young elite players, so being in the coaching side, working in their team with the physio, the manager, the parents, so forth, me being the coach, actually, this person's really good, but without all these 3 or 4 people, it doesn't work. And then the other part is being in the media. Well, if no one sees you play, then there's then no value to the tournament or to you as a personality. And the people that help show you performing are amazing what they do. There's an amazing sound guy, an AV guy. There's an amazing producer. There's an amazing director. There's someone who's helping produce the content, all the timings. There's so many things, and these people are like world class at what they do. They can be a world class producer or a director of a show that makes everything look amazing, but that person doesn't get seen. And now I realise, having gone through all these different things, actually, there's world class people at what they do. Everyone's got their issues. Everyone's got their problems. Not everyone's good at everything, but there's normally 1 or 2 things that someone's really good at that you can learn, and sometimes just respect that they do it. And one thing I'm realising now, you know what? If someone's good at it, just let them get on with it. Like, you know, we have, you know, in the teams that we work in now, is, you know what, that person's really good at that job. Just let them be really good at their job. Don't mess with them. Just, I'll be good at my part, you be good at your part, and that'll produce something. And I think, you know, you haven't got to be good at everything, but just having that awareness and understanding it's fun. It's fun. You can learn that stuff.
That's the teamwork. Everybody in team pick up the strongest part, what they are good at, and that's how success is. Mm-hmm. You pick the strong team and strong people on your team, and then success is yours when you know how to play around. And it's just simply who you pick, right? And it applies to everything. It applies to business, it applies to friendship, it applies to partnership, it just simply everywhere. Absolutely. I believe in this also.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, and then it kind of comes back to understanding what you're good at and what you're not good at. You haven't got to be good at everything. But if you understand, okay, I'm good at this, then I'm not so good at that. You can be learning to improve that in the background by that awareness. But you know what? You haven't got to be good at everything. Just be good at one thing, and then loads of other things come off the back of it.
And just acknowledging what you're not good at, and you know, okay, here I'm not really good, so I'll let you do the thing, and I'm here to do my thing. Question is, what quick fix would you give to someone who is really struggling today?
Oh, quick fix. I think, probably that. It's probably something similar to that. You haven't got to be good at everything. Something that it stood me in good stead. And I've seen when I've struggled, it's been one way, and then when I've done this, it's been normally when things have improved. Is to have sometimes, especially in the world we're in now, is I keep referring to it, but you look on social media, there's a high expectation, there's high pressure. We're here in Dubai. There's high pressure here. It's a fast-paced lifestyle, a lot of competition, which is good, which is really good, but the expectation can sometimes exceed your ability or your skill. And then that results in like a real low flow state. So one thing that's stood me in good stead when things are tough is to have low expectations. If you have low expectations, whether it be in business or in golf, or sometimes with your friends or relationship, then low expectations opens up the possibility of a high flow state. When you've got high expectations, then the low flow state kicks in and things get really difficult. So most of the time, just being able to get that mix of having a goal of something, but removing the expectation, then that it's not an easy thing to do. But if you can somehow get your head around that, all of a sudden the pressure goes, and things start to go your way rather than go against you, and you can grow some confidence. You can't grow confidence if you're not achieving your expectations.
That's so right. What would you tell to a younger self who took the golf club at the age of 11? If I do have regrets in my golfing career, I would say one thing would be I would look after my body a lot better than I have. Now I'm at now it pays me to say now I'm 43. I'm starting to think about what I'm eating and am I training? Am I fit enough? These sort of things. Whereas when I was a kid, you just think my body's going to be good forever. Like I would travel. I played in the Asian Golf Tour for a while. I would travel from UK to China, 12, 13 hour flight, get off, go straight to the golf club, hit 100, 200 balls, go out on the golf course, play. Whereas now I'd respect myself a lot more. I would go, you know what, I'm going to take the day off. I'll maybe go to the gym or go and get a massage or just have a chill for a day and then start building up tomorrow. But it was different then. It was like we didn't have the information we had that we have today. It's so different. That would be the one of the main things that I would change. And then also respect the team. Like have the team, respect the team around me and realise what everyone else does. And because all those people were good at things I wasn't good at, and me just be good at my one bit, but understand there's 3 or 4 other people and let them get on with their job. And also, you know what, at times I was probably too nice. I was too nice to people, let people get away with things. I think if I was to go back now, I would be harder on people around me, but only in a fair manner. Not to be an a-hole to people, but to be like, that's your job, be good at it. And what I had when I played was, I had people in my team, because I was too nice, people would overstep the mark and give their opinion a lot. And I think when I look back, I was thinking, if that was now, I'd be like, no, just you do your job. You're here for that. And I had a caddy who was getting involved in my technique. Oh, okay. And so then he would be peed off at my golf coach, and then he'd be telling me stuff, and I'd be like, oh, he's older than me, so I'll listen to him. He must know. Whereas actually, in reality, just because he's older than me, I was a far better golfer than him. Like, so in hindsight, I would go, all right, just chill. You just look after the golf clubs and do the strategy and so forth. I'll do this bit. And then my coach would then go into other things. And I would say, no, I don't need that from you. I need this. I would be more demanding on what I was probably paying people to do. So yeah, if I was to go back, I'd probably be a bit more of an asshole. What is your vision for the future?
That's a good question. Very good question. I need to come to one of your events to work that all out. Yeah. I think essentially, I guess my goals are now, which we should evolve from then, is probably a little bit less personal in terms of what I want it's more to make other people's life easier around me, people that I care about. I think that's probably one of the main goals I would have, and that comes out of me doing well at what I do. So there is a bit of, I need to be selfish in certain things to be able to do justice to the people around me or who I really care about, to give them an easier life later on. And then I guess one last thing would be, I do want to. I had a real back injury which really ended my golf career, but I would like to, and it's not as bad as it was probably 3-4 years ago. So I do try and keep my game in check, because I would like to play, because my son was, I was kind of stopped playing as my son was born. And so he's never really seen me as a golfer. He's seen me as I am now. And I would like to play in another Open Championship, qualify for that, or win a tournament, just so he can see me do it and be like, that's what I was really supposed to do. So yeah.
Let's manifest it.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you very much, Zane, for all your answers. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for coming here. Just the last question for you. How was your overall experience?
Here today? Fantastic, yeah. Really good, yeah. Yeah, so I'm honoured to be on your podcast. And I've been following it all on the socials and so forth. So yeah, I was excited to get on, and yeah, lovely set and good questions. And yeah, thank you very, very much for having me on.
Thank you very much for coming today, and I love your answers. You're very powerful, and I wish you very best of luck and best success for you to come back to play golf.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.